the impact of technology on the pause, on our relationship. Any comments on that, Carrie?
Well, I love this topic because, I think that if you look back at all of human history, there's always something that's happening in the world that makes the parenting people worried that this is going to make everything about humanity just topple, right? Like whether it's the television back in the 70s or video games or whatever it is. And it is the technology, whether it was even like the wheel at some point probably made some parent nervous that this is going to be really dangerous for our kids and we need to not have this happen. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, now that's just what it is. So I don't have any judgment over the technology itself. I think that that's inevitable and there's so much value. Look at you're in India, I'm in Maine. Like the fact that we do this and we all just think, oh yeah, let's hop on Zoom and talk. That's miraculous. And that can only happen because of technology. So I don't think it's the actual, the mechanisms that are the problem. I think what we need to stay aware of is how we're interacting with it. And is that allowing, is that taking away from the human interaction? It's less about, are they on the screens too much? Are they off the screens enough? But it's more of like, I value a balanced mind, body, spirit. So I, as a parent, would hold some boundaries around the technology so that that person has a built-in pause from it to know where they are. So does that make sense? Ask me more questions because I really want to make sure we get this piece because it feels important right now. Is like, what's the deeper question that would be useful?
I think it's really about how it's impacting. I agree with you that I think technology has a lot of positives. Like starting with our conversation today, we cannot stay away from technology, but it's really about balancing our use of technology with taking that pause and making time for other activities or relationships with family and building that connection, right? So that's what I was trying to see, how can we, if there are any tips on, how can we actually balance that on, like you talked about how when you go for a walk without your phone with you, right? That's a perfect example of how you're able to take that break or that pause away from technology to help you, reset your inner self, right?
So, yeah, exactly. And I think that you're saying it perfectly. And that's what I was getting at is the technology that's a guarantee. I don't think it's going away. I know that it's not going away. And there's so much that's good about it. And it is a tool that we want to make sure as we're developing with it, that we are taking those moments to get away from it, to just really see, do I need it as much as I'm on it? Or am I just doing that because it's there? And first and foremost, I think instead of telling your kids get off the screens, I think the parent getting clarity of both what they're feeling like they want to experiment with in terms of like, hey, we're gonna have Sundays tech free, or we're gonna do, we're gonna try on a Friday night game night with no screens. Like getting the clarity of like, what experiment do I want to run? And then what's the value under it? So instead of just saying technology's bad, you shouldn't be on it, it's like, give them the why of and again, every family's different, but what you're doing by using technology as your mechanism for going in and getting clear and expressing your boundaries and your value, that speaks louder than either not having, just saying, well, I have no control, so I'm not even going to try, or saying, you shouldn't be on it, but I'm going to be on it at dinner. Like you really have to look at your own habits around it in order to be effective in modeling the thing. You can't speak one language about it and then expect them to speak a different language. So the opportunities for parents, in my opinion, is you're waking up and saying, hey, this is a beautiful thing that we all love using. And what is life like if we pause and not use it for a little bit of time? What do we learn about ourselves? Do we learn that we really like hanging out more? Do we learn that we love hearing music without, without seeing anything? Like, I don't know what people are going to learn, but that pausing, like, again, I think this is a perfect conversation, the way you led into it, because it has nothing to do with the technology itself. It's really more about how do we create pause so that we can really survey life without that interaction of the screen. And what a gift to your children who really are so native to it. We grew up at a time when it didn't exist, and then now it exists. Most of them arrived and it was there. The parent was on their phone doing, even if you were born in the 90s, you still saw your parents on the computer, and it was not much time of not, your awareness opened to the internet when it was happening. And so I love encouraging, and I love what you're doing, encouraging parents to play with it, to experiment with it, and really give you and your kids opportunities to get away from it that are authentic, not just saying get off the phone and then not offering anything. Like, it's compelling. We're all compelled by it. So what are you going to offer that might be a little different and maybe more connected, that might entice them to want to join you? And if you have little kids, setting that up really early, so they just assume, oh, on Sundays we don't look at screens, we go and do family stuff. It's a little harder when they're older, but not impossible. You could say, hey, you know what, I'm realizing I didn't get clear on my boundaries around this, and we haven't really experimented, so we're going to try this now. And they might roll their eyes or groan, and how cool. Like, be the parent, step up and be a leader. A friend of mine, we were having a conversation, and we came up with the term a digital shepherd, a technology shepherd, that you're shepherding them into being healthy humans in the midst of a technology that is going to keep being a part of our life. So how do you take a stand for slowing life down and getting off the screens and really allowing you and your people to experience something different?
Thank you so much, Carrie, it's been a wonderful conversation, and I think we have a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah.
It's been a wonderful conversation talking to you today.
Me
Thank
too.
you so much, Carrie. So
Thank you. I appreciate you so much.